This is Robaire. He's my huge 16 hand and just big bodied, long and big bodied 4-year-old thoroughbred gelding. And he's by Kitten's Joy out of a Dynaformer mare. So he's extremely well bred and just an extremely classy sort of horse. He's unbelievably kind and easygoing to work with on the ground. Well, actually, it really matches how he is to ride. He's also that way when you're in the tack. And this is his second post track ride. And the big change I made for this ride is that I got him in the first ride, I had him in a metal egg butt snaffle. And for this ride, I have him in I forget what it's like, the Shire's Equisoft, something like that. It's a soft rubber straight bar bit, D-ring. Because his natural tendency is he wants to go kind of like a hunter. He wants to go a little bit long and low, and at times he'll get behind the vertical a bit. So I want to encourage him to, poke his nose out a little bit, pick up his pole a little bit more. So I'm hoping that riding in this really soft bit will encourage him to do that, and I think he went well in it today. He was less low than he was the other day. I mean, part of that is just the way that he wants to go, and part of it is strength and conditioning and training, and of course, it will improve as he continues to progress. Actually, his frame right here is quite nice. I was really happy with this part here. He's a little bit stronger to the left, so he has an easier time holding his frame up higher when we're going to the left. The right he finds just slightly harder, so he's just not quite as strong, and so he wants to get a little bit lower when we're going to the right. But these are no real complaints because this is only his second post track ride, and he's just like going around absolutely gorgeously. He's a beautiful mover. Oh, I should also say he got shoes on. So for his first post track ride on Monday, he was still barefoot. He got his feet look great, actually. My farrier did a lovely job. So now he's got French steel shoes on. Of course, he's still barefoot behind, but his feet look fantastic. He feels great on his feet. I know he's happy to have the shoes on. So let's see the bit change. She's got shoes on. I'm wearing tiny little spurs, and it all felt like a good combination. Everything was working in this ride today. And I know I left his video way too long. I just have a hard time cutting out, the heart of the ride. And actually, in this ride, after we cantered both ways, I just wanted to see what he would think about some poles. So we trotted over some poles at the one end of the ring, and he was fantastic. So there, he just ever so slightly came up above the contact, but I actually would prefer that he make that mistake than versus the other opposite, which is coming down behind the vertical. So actually, this is progress. He's making a different kind of mistake, and it's actually, in my opinion, it's the better one. I'd rather that they come up rather than duck behind the contact. And then there, that's quite nice. He is extremely smooth. He's just God, he's just sort of floaty, and he's a big horse. He's big bodied and he's long and he's tall and all the things, but he feels very light on his feet. He has a very soft way of going. Obviously, he's extremely soft in the contact, and that's just sort of how he is in general, in every way, on the ground, in the tack, his movement, everything is just kind of soft and floating. So here he's just a little bit behind, and then there you go, that's better. So it's just a constant conversation, but he's very agreeable in the conversation. He has a happy expression on his face, his movement's light. This is nice here in the frame. This is what we're going for. And then this is a little low. He's very professional about things like, there's no drift really towards the gate. He doesn't really get distracted. He's very focused, and listening, and he's just obviously a very classy horse to me who's been well handled, well brought along. I think this is really nice here in his frame. I like this. And here it gets just a little bit low. So there we go. Then that's better. Up a little bit low there, and then that's better. So the one thing I did really work on with him today was his canter transitions. He's just not sure about sort of just stepping into the canter. He wants to, well, first of all, he's a quiet type of horse. So, he's just not super reactive to your age, which is both good and bad, right? It makes him very easy, sort of amateur friendly and safe feeling. But he does not quite understand the canter transition cue yet. So I asked him a couple of times, and first he just wanted to do a bigger sort of run on trot, and then I had to tap him a couple times with the stick so that he would learn that actually we don't want that. We just want you to sort of jump into the canter. And so then I'm getting a little bit of an overreaction, which is what you saw in that left canter transition, which was that, I've asked him kind of sharply a couple times to step into the canter so that he learns that it's not just a run on trot transition. So now he's just like being a little bit extra with the step into the canter, but that's okay. It's just part of the learning curve. He has to learn the cue when you ask that he goes, and then you can sort of dial it back and tone it back down. And then this here is just beautiful in the trot when he comes out of the canter. I love this. And actually, he's funny because he does feel stronger in general to the left. However, he actually is more partial to picking up his right canter. But it's just funny how they have these little idiosyncrasies. Nothing is ever black and white. So actually, when we did our canter to parts, we should have gone to the right first, and next time I will, because he was easier to the right, because the first time I asked him to canter to the right, he wanted to just do the big trot again. And then the next time I gave him a tap on his shoulder, and we didn't have to go through the whole which lead thing. When we're going to the left, sometimes he picks up the right, sometimes he picks up the left, very normal, but to the right, he really consistently picks up the right lead. So next time we'll go right first, since that's a little bit clearer for him. And then this here in the trot, this is quite nice. Here, I'd like him to poke out his, there we go. And then, yeah, right there's up a little behind. And then, yep. It's just a constant conversation back and forth. And then that was a better canter transition. Sort of could dial it back at this point because we've sort of gone through the whole, okay, I ask you canter thing. So now we can tone it back down, and that was a better depart. And obviously he has an extremely lovely canter, super balanced and comfortable. And, I always sort of start in half seat with these guys in the first couple of rides, but I do like to start easing them into sitting. And for him, that's very easy. Very comfortable canter to sit. He feels pretty strong through his back. It's not very difficult for him to have me sitting the canter. He really did some nice work. Yeah, that was pretty good. I was happy with that. And then again, beautiful trot after the canter. And I like how his pole's up, his nose is out. That was good. Okay, so here we're just trotting over some poles. I'm just messing around with him to see what he makes of this. And actually, he's just, that was quite good. So then we change directions, and I do it twice to the left. It's actually a little bit hard to tell because my mom, who does an amazing job videoing, she was a little extra zoomed in on the poles. I don't think she necessarily knew we were going to the poles, so it's actually kind of hard to see. But he is going over those poles twice to the left to end, and he does it quite nicely. And then he is all done.